When 28-year-old Emily Carter ordered a simple DNA test, she was just curious. She wanted to learn more about her ancestry, maybe find distant relatives. But what she discovered didn't just change her life. It reopened a 19-year-old murder case and unmasked a horrifying truth. Her DNA test revealed that the man who killed her mother was her biological father. A quiet suburban community on the edge of town, safe, ordinary, predictable. But that evening, something felt off at 114 Pine Ridge Drive. 32-year-old Susan Carter, a nurse at Riverton General Hospital, failed to pick up her 8-year-old daughter Emily from school. Friends called, no answer. Her ex-boyfriend stopped by the house. The lights were off, her car still in the driveway. By 10:17 p.m., her sister reported her missing. Police arrived within minutes. The police radio audio went live. Unit 4, 1057, possible missing female, Pine Ridge Drive. They found signs of a struggle in the kitchen, a knocked-over lamp, a torn curtain, and traces of blood near the sink, but no forced entry. Whoever had entered the home, Susan knew them. 2 days later, hikers discovered a body half buried by the banks of Eagle Creek, about 3 miles from Susan's house. It was her. The coroner confirmed blunt force trauma to the head and ligature marks consistent with manual strangulation. Time of death between 7:45 and 9:15 p.m. The case was immediately ruled a homicide. Detectives scoured the scene. There were no fingerprints, no eyewitnesses. Only one clue stood out. Under Susan's fingernails, they found male DNA, but it was 1998. Forensic testing was primitive, and the sample was too degraded for a match. Officers interviewed co-workers, family, and friends. Susan was well-liked, hard-working, devoted to her daughter. But there was something else, a rumor about a man named Daniel Royce, a married construction foreman. He had worked on Susan's house the previous summer and was seen visiting her several times after. A neighbor gave her statements saying, "I used to see his truck parked there late at night." She said he was helping fix her porch, but I wasn't so sure. When questioned, Royce denied any romantic involvement. He said he was home with his wife that night. She confirmed his alibi. The case stalled. By 1999, the murder file was boxed, labeled unsolved, and shelved in the Riverton Cold Case Archive. And Emily, just a child, grew up without a mother, never knowing why. Susan Carter wasn't the type to live dangerously. She worked long hours, raised her daughter alone after a breakup, and volunteered at a local clinic. But as detectives combed through her belongings, one thing caught their attention: a small spiral notebook hidden in her dresser. On one torn page, she had written, "Dr. 3/96. He'll never forgive me." At the time, it didn't mean much. Dr. could have been anyone, but in hindsight it was everything. Court documents later confirmed Susan had been in an affair with Daniel Royce, her married neighbor. What she didn't know was that when she became pregnant, Daniel was the father, and Emily Carter, her beloved daughter, was the living evidence of that secret. The affair ended months before Susan's death. But according to a friend's later testimony, Susan had decided to tell the truth to everyone the very week she was killed. Emily Carter, now grown, had moved to Cincinnati and worked in healthcare. Like millions of people, she ordered a DNA kit for fun, ancestry, ethnicity, maybe a few family connections. When her results came in, they didn't make sense. Half her DNA matched relatives she'd never heard of. The Royce family from Riverton. She assumed it was a mistake, but a second test on another platform confirmed it and linked her paternal line directly to Daniel Royce. Emily was confused. Her birth certificate listed her father as unknown. Could Daniel Royce, the man who'd comforted her after her mother's death, really be her biological father. She contacted authorities, hoping to learn the truth. Within weeks, the Riverton Police Cold Case Unit reopened her mother's file. Modern YSTR and autosomal testing allowed analysts to re-examine the male DNA sample found under Susan's fingernails, and the results were undeniable. It was Daniel Royce, Dr. Aisha Benton, forensic genealogist. The 2017 profile matched directly to the Royce paternal lineage. When compared to Daniel Royce's cheek swab, it was a 99.98% match. Statistically impossible to be coincidence. The DNA didn't just solve a cold case, it revealed a devastating biological truth. Emily's father had murdered her mother. In May 2017, detectives arrested Daniel Royce at his home. Neighbors described him as calm, even polite. As officers led him away in handcuffs, he said nothing to the press, nothing to police, not even to Emily, who by then knew the truth. Investigators found circumstantial evidence supporting the DNA. Soil from his pickup truck matched the creek where Susan's body was found. Witnesses recalled hearing an argument between a man and woman around 8 p.m. that night. And that notebook, DR 3/96. The puzzle pieces fit, but the story wasn't just about murder. It was about how far one man went to protect a secret. No confession, no apology. Court records show no history of mental illness, no previous violence. Forensic psychologists who reviewed the case describe it as an intimate partner homicide born from exposure fear, a desperate act to preserve a double life. Dr. Lauren Shaw, forensic psychologist, this wasn't premeditated in the classic sense. It was reactive, driven by panic, shame, and a collapsing secret. Royce's behavior fit a pattern: personal familiarity, impulsive violence, disorganized concealment, and total denial afterward. He wasn't trying to outsmart the law. He was trying to erase a truth he couldn't live with. For Emily, discovering her biological father was also her mother's killer was shattering, but she refused to let it define her. She worked with Riverton Police to advocate for modern DNA testing on cold cases, helping other families find closure where she once found horror. Today, forensic genealogy has solved hundreds of cold cases worldwide, but few are as personal or as tragic as this one. In interviews, Emily has said she doesn't want revenge, she wants truth. DNA doesn't just tell us who we are, she said. It tells us what some people are willing to kill to hide. Daniel Royce remains incarcerated at Riverton State Prison. He has never spoken publicly about the crime. Emily continues to advocate for cold case reform, especially those involving unidentified parentage. The Carter case stands as both a tragedy and a turning point. A story that began with loss, ended in revelation, and proved that even decades later, the truth leaves a trace.
If you found this case as haunting as we did, share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, because the truth always leaves a trail, and together we will follow it.